This is CBC Here and Now.
Well, it may not look like it, but winter storm warnings are still in place for parts of the Avalon. Round 2 is on the way.
With bad weather, a very busy day for Coast Guard personnel here on the south side of the St. John's Harbour, trying to pump a lot of water out of the Executioner, the name of this large vessel.
When the vessel had tipped and was starting to sink, the owner has responded and is in control.
We'll have an update for you on how this all played out today. That's coming up.
So if you've been waiting a while for a hip or knee replacement, one can imagine that it affects your quality of life and your functioning.
Tens of thousands fewer surgeries during the COVID-19 pandemic.
The impact of the pandemic on those waiting for procedures.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. Well, today's weather is our top story. Winter arrived in one big blast in central Newfoundland, which got the brunt of the snow from the storm. Snowplow operators were busy on the roads since early this morning. These driveways were empty yesterday, now filled with snow. There has been poor visibility throughout the day from the high winds.
And it's been messy on the Avalon too. The snow turned to ice pellets, then rain for part of the day, and with howling winds, it was messy throughout it all, and it's not over yet. Ashley is outside right now. That's why she gets paid so much money. Ashley, what is coming up?
Yeah, something like that, Anthony.
Yeah.
I figured, it's a pretty nice afternoon or evening rather to come outside right now. Just a little bit of drizzle happening right now. We did see a break in that weather, just like I said it would yesterday, with a lot of rain this afternoon, or at least some rain this afternoon. Most of the Avalon did see that changeover, but west of the Avalon, very different story. As you can see from there, had about up to 40 centimeters possible just west of the Avalon. Looks like that will come to fruition as of right now, or as of 5:30. Gander reported 27 centimeters of snow. Gander West about 30 centimeters. Winds are really starting to ramp up as well. It does look like a little bit more ice pellets fell for the Burin Peninsula, so amounts are a little less there, but round 2 is on the way for the Avalon as we speak. It's in the process of changing back over to snow, and the winds are going to ramp up. We could see some pretty gusty winds in the next few hours. I'll get into those details when I come back.
All right, Ashley, of course, we'll be back. The weather being the big story that it is. Now take a look at this. The ice pellets that Ashley mentioned, felt them when we went down there to shoot this video. A fishing vessel, St. John's Harbour, at risk of sinking. Coast Guard workers and some contractors and the ship's owner, they all used hoses to try to pump the water out as fast as they could. The vessel, the Executioner, was there as it listed dangerously. You see they're right on the side of the south side area of the wharf downtown. The ship started taking on water early this morning during the storm, and that continued throughout the afternoon. As I mentioned, I was there earlier, and I spoke with the Coast Guard. Okay, so Bruce, give me a situation of what happened here this morning.
We got a call, our duty officer got a call just after 4, and the vessel had, some local was passing by, I believe, and the vessel had tipped and was starting to sink. The owner has responded and is in control. We're here to help him. Our role, I guess, is any oil pollution or anything that would have come from the vessel. So we're doing everything that we possibly can to help out the owner and crew to prevent the vessel from sinking and releasing oil into the environment.
And how has the operation gone? Because we were here a bit earlier, and the vessel seemed to be tilted much more than it is now. What's your assessment?
Well, I haven't been on the vessel, and obviously water is coming in order for the vessel to tip. But we believe we've gotten ahead of the ingress of water now. We have a number of pumps on there, and the vessel has tipped or straightened out probably 6 or 8 feet. So we feel that we're in control now, and I guess the next step for the owner and crew is to determine where the water was coming in and get a grip on that and secure the vessel.
Now, obviously, that's a major investment for the owner. Any idea of how much damage has been done given the amount of water it took on?
I'm not sure, Anthony, but I understand that the water didn't make it into the engine room. Now, I can't be certain on that, but those that were there said that the water was in the fish hole. The vessel had a whole lot of equipment and that on their containers and that in the fish hole, so it was a challenge to get the suction lines into the water where we needed them to be to take the water out.
One last question for you, Mr. English. Obviously, a day like today, not a great day for this. Do you feel a bit cursed?
Pretty pleased now that we're on the positive side of this, and it's, usually this stuff happens at bad times anyway, so we're prepared for it. We train for these kind of things, and we're just so happy to help out the owner here, and that he doesn't have a major loss. At least the vessel didn't go to the bottom.
Listen, Mr. English, appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
No problem, thank you.
All that stormy, wet weather certainly hampered efforts to save that fishing vessel in St. John's, but in central Newfoundland, just clearing away the snow proved difficult. Central got the bulk of the snow accumulation, but as Here and Now's Garrett Berry tells us, for some winter lovers, it's not a minute too soon.
Classes are canceled, but the teaching continues. About the finer points of this back-saving tool.
He's excited he's not in school today. His day off, first snow day of the year, so he's enjoying it.
And Charlie has obviously not lost his innocence.
I really wanted this for my 6-year-old birthday.
He's just fascinated with this machine.
I did some more fun with this.
Nah, we'll come out again later and do some more snow.
You want to do more snow already?
Oh, there's a key right here.
It's music to a parent's ears. We'll just have to see if it survives the teenage years. Down the street, 2-year-old Adira is taking her first steps in the snow, while Mom clears the way.
Well, she's been watching TV all day and waiting for me to take her out in the snow, I guess, because she's been looking out the window at the snow and getting all excited.
And the neighbors can't help but join in the fun.
Me personally, I don't like the snow in general, but I mean, I like it because I get to play with my son in it. But as for like last year, the year before, I was shoveling, so having the snowblower actually helped a little bit.
Across town, a different work plan. She's inside, while her neighbors are shoveling her out.
I'm just sitting in knitting.
Oh God, what are you knitting on? What is your project today?
Oven mitts.
Oven mitts.
Out here, it's like winter came all at once.
Yeah, we just got dumped on overnight.
And all that snow has got many in a festive mood.
I can't wait to see Santa.
A good day for dreaming of a white Christmas. Garrett Berry, CBC News, Gander.
I'd rather have that than what we have on the Avalon. Now, to other news, COVID-19 has had a profound effect on hospital operations in this province. New research from the Canadian Institute for Health Information says Newfoundland and Labrador has performed about 1,400 fewer surgeries per month since the pandemic began. Here now, as Mark Quinn reports.
According to the findings, there's been a dramatic decrease in surgeries in this province during the pandemic.
So we looked at March 2020 to June 2021, and that was about 22,000 less surgeries in Newfoundland compared to the same period the year before.
The Canadian Institute for Health Information found April 2020 to be the worst month, with a drop of about 82% in the total number of surgeries in Newfoundland and Labrador compared to April 2019. This includes 53% fewer cardiac surgeries, 47% fewer cancer surgeries, and 90% fewer hip and knee replacements.
So if you've been waiting a while for a hip or knee replacement, one can imagine that it affects your quality of life and your functioning.
The researchers found the number of surgeries rebounded after July 2020, but in February and June of 2021, the total number of surgeries dipped again after there were outbreaks of COVID. Johnson isn't able to say if Newfoundland and Labrador is catching up with the backlog of delayed surgeries.
Because different provinces have had different strategies for catching up. The challenges around catching up are finding OR time and finding enough nurses and surgeons for the folks to do the surgeries. These folks have been running flat out for a year and a half now with COVID.
Johnson says we need more research to measure what delays have meant to waiting patients.
So do we see people coming with more severe cardiac disease because it was missed early on, or other challenges like cancers that are at a later stage? And at the moment, we can't answer those questions.
We do know the number of people who died while waiting for heart surgery in this province increased during the pandemic. In late October, Health Minister John Haggie said that an average of 4 people die annually while waiting for cardiac surgery. But in the previous 12 months, there were 8 such deaths. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, if you work for the provincial government, you'll have to get vaccinated. We're just over a week away from that deadline. So how many people still aren't vaccinated? In many cases, the province doesn't know, and that's raising concerns from the PC opposition. Here Now's Peter Cowan has been digging into the numbers. So Peter, let's start with education. What do we know about who is and isn't vaccinated?
Well, yeah, on December 17th, anyone working for the school board, the provincial government, the health authorities is going to need to be vaccinated. So how many won't be, either because they refuse to or because they started too late to get both doses by the deadline? Overall, 8.5% of people over 12 in the province aren't vaccinated. So does that mean 8.5% of teachers or nurses will be off the job? And we don't know. The school board says 90% of their workers have submitted proof of vaccination. How many of those remaining 10% are just late submitting, and how many of them are not going to be vaccinated? The answer is the school board doesn't know. It's only been asking for proof of vaccination, and it hasn't asked people to tell them if they're not going to get vaccinated. So it won't know how many key roles it's going to have to fill when those people are put on leave without pay. The head of the school board insists they're not expecting a large number, but they don't know for sure.
We have a committed workforce. Those individuals who have either medical grounds or religious grounds have submitted their information, which has to be then vetted and processed. And that's a very small number. It's 35 people. So basically out of 10,000, that's 0.35%, which is a very small number. And we're quite able to deal with that number. And if there are other shortages of staff in pockets, then we're also prepared to deal with that.
Now, staffing is already a challenge in some areas. The teachers union, for example, has warned that substitute teachers are in short supply, raising concerns for the opposition that even a small number of staff out of commission could lead to a big impact on the system. PCMHA Barry Petton says government should be collecting the information so it knows exactly how big the problem is here.
We have student assistant shortages, IRTs are short when we look at an inclusion model. So schools are struggling, especially in the metro area now, with all those factors. So just the fact of not knowing how many teachers are not going to be available after the 17th is very concerning. I think it should be for many families and many teachers and many people out there, actually, the general public.
So even if they don't know how big the impact will be, the school board says it is putting backup plans in place.
The government and the pension agency have extended the availability for retired teachers, for example, so we're getting those approved on a constant basis, and government are turning those around really quickly. So our ranks in terms of the available substitutes are growing daily.
Okay, Peter, so that's education, but what about core government and the healthcare system?
Yeah, so healthcare is one of the biggest areas of concern because, for example, in Quebec, they actually backed away from requiring nurses and doctors there to be vaccinated because thousands would have just had been fired and the system couldn't cope with that. So is that going to be a similar problem here? Well, the health authorities either don't know or they're just refusing to give us their numbers. We received almost identical statements when we asked the health authorities about this. And here's, for example, what Eastern Health says. It says Eastern Health is working with the Newfoundland and Labrador Centre for Health Information to verify employee vaccination status. Once this information is available, Eastern Health will determine what is required to meet our commitment to deliver the most appropriate level of care to meet the needs of patients, clients, and residents. The core government is releasing some numbers. It says 88% of their employees have filed their information, and out of those who filed, only 0.2% aren't fully vaccinated. So we'll know for sure next Friday, which is the deadline for everyone to register their vaccination status. And for anyone who doesn't have both doses, it's actually too late to get the shots now. To be considered fully vaccinated, you have to be 2 weeks after your second dose. That means to keep working past next Friday, you would have had to have your dose last week. Reporting live from the newsroom, I'm Peter Cowan for Here and Now.
Well, in other news, the race is on to become the province's next tech success story. A pitch and pick competition was held last night at the Genesis Centre in St. John's.
Yeah, think Dragon's Den, but Dragon's Den for tech companies. The winners took home a few $1,000s, but the real prize? Well, that's the chance to stand on the same stage where companies like Misa and Colab once stood.
Yes, they're hoping to follow in their footsteps.
Our next finalist is Herschel with his venture Driven Student.
Hi there, my name is Herschel and my venture is Driven Student. We are the Uber for lawn care. I've been prepping since September, getting everything ready and just building up to pitch and pick. I'm so thankful to just be here even today.
Yeah, thank you.
Pitch and Pick is a celebration at the end of the Genesis Center's 8-week evolution program. So all of the founders that are working on business ideas get to pitch their business ideas to a panel of judges and community supporters, and then we collectively select a winner.
To shop local or to shop online.
We are actually going to change the social fabric of education.
And there's seems to be a bit of a buzz about this software. The Pitch and Pick is a really unique opportunity for people just getting involved in the tech sector in Newfoundland and Labrador. And as you know, Newfoundland and Labrador is really exploding with tech. We want to be part of this environment and really progress the industry and be part of Tech It Now. Our solution is a cloud-based interface that utilizes images to allow for remote verification of pharmaceutical compounds.
We would charge the companies a monthly fee to use our route optimizing software, and we also sell our sensor modules.
With your phone and a $30 headset that your phone would be inserted into, we can provide you an online exam environment in virtual reality.
But today, our ask is for mentors and advisors, people who can help us in the service industry, people who know the on-demand industry.
What's your next step in launching your venture?
Just launch, get it out there.
In Pitch and Pick in the past, we've had companies from MISA to CoLabs. There's been so many incredible companies that have stood in these floors beforehand and pitched their ideas. And it's special to do these types of events in Newfoundland and Labrador because that's in our nature. Every Newfoundland and Labradorian wants to help. They want to be part in building something special here.
So I think about all these companies all the time. It's actually a honor to stand on the same stage that they are at, that they were at actually. I saw them, since I've been in Newfoundland, I always saw, I've seen how they grew, I've seen what they have done, and for me to be able to start doing, just by small steps, it's a very big honor for me.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Samuel, and I am the founder of Go Cabs. It's reassuring to know you're kind of walking in the footsteps of some of these giants, really, and to know that I get to pass through what they go through. Hopefully, we could become even a fraction of what they've become.
Newfoundland has really become a melting pot of technological advances, and a lot of great things have been coming out of the province as of late. And we think that we're going to be able to add our company and product to that list.
Our runner-up is Sutra, which is Josh Harris.
Newfoundland is almost like its own little incubator because everyone's so tight-knit and the community is really rooting for you to be successful.
Finally, our first place is DuaScript, which is John Edwards.
That's why you've seen so many incredible companies come from Newfoundland and Labrador. It's the people and us all being willing to help and tackle problems together.
Really make an impact for the community food sharing program. It's such a great cause, it's a wonderful organization, and there's a definite need out there.
A big donation ahead of tomorrow's annual CBC Feed NL fundraiser, all part of our month-long fundraising efforts for the Community Food Sharing Association. Details after Ashley's forecast.
Well, it may be raining out there right now, but that is going to change in the next probably half hour or so. I'll have those details and your forecast towards the weekend coming up.
This year, we're connecting more, we're sharing more, and we're helping more. This season, whatever kind of season you make it, make the season kind.
What a messy day in St. John's today, and for so many people on the island. And it's not over yet, you said earlier. What's on the way now?
No, yeah, we still have those winter storm warnings pretty much right across the board. Let's take a look at those right now. Now, the southeastern portion of the Avalon is only under a wind warning, and that's because you didn't see as much snow this afternoon, mainly rain. But those winter storm warnings extend all the way now through to Burgeo and then up through Green Bay, White Bay as well. And the reason for that is this area of low pressure that I've been talking about for the last couple of days. Now, it is slowly working its way across the Avalon as we speak. This is the current radar. Now, remember, the radar on the west coast isn't there right now, but it is snowing and will continue to snow as we head through the overnight tonight. Now, temperatures, the reason for that rain was because for the southeast anyway, bumped up to about 8 degrees today, still currently sitting at 6, and we're above 0 in St. John's as well. Anything west of the Avalon is currently falling as snow. About -3 in Gander right now. Not a very nice evening out there with snow and blowing snow thanks to some of the strong winds. Now, taking a look at the current satellite and radar, those are some ice pellets in the purple, and you can see that rain-snow line is making its way further east. So it looks like the transition from rain to snow will happen at least within the next half hour to hour for the eastern half of the island. And then the eastern half of the Avalon rather, and we've got some more snow that's being picked up on the radar that's headed towards pretty much all of the Avalon as we head through the evening hours tonight. Now, not only has it been messy, but it has been windy. These are the top gusts today, 100 km/h winds in Twillingate. And then we've got 96 km/h winds in Bonavista. Earlier today, St. John's recorded a wind gust of about 72. Now, because that area of low pressure is literally moving so close, we're actually in a little bit of a lull as far as those winds go. So these are the sustained winds right now. Gander sustained at 61 km/h. Bonavista at about 74 km/h. You factor in those wind gusts, it's closer to 80, even almost 100 km/h in Bonavista. So this is what we're going to see over the next good, 3 hours, it looks like at this point. So here's the future wind gusts. The eastern half of the island, looking at those winds gusting between 60 and 80 km/h. When we start to get into that red, those are the 80 to 100. And then look what happens over the next hour or so. As we get into 7:30, 8 p.m., we start to pick up on the purples and the whites. That's 100 to 140 possibly km/h. Now, the good news is it's not going to last very long. It'll be between, say, 7 o'clock and about 10 p.m. is when we should see the strongest wind gusts, and it does look like it will just be the tip of the northern Avalon, as well as the northern tip of the Bonavista Peninsula. But winds are still going to be gusting quite strong through a good chunk of the night tonight, between 60 to 80 km/h. And then as we get into Friday afternoon, those winds will ease to about 40 to 60 km/h. So as far as tonight goes, that snow, a couple more hours of heavy snow expected, certainly here in the Avalon. So factor in with that, with the wind gusts, we could see some blizzard conditions between the hours of 7 and 10 p.m. But by the time we get into midnight and after, the main bulk of the system has moved off. It should taper to flurries, but you're going to hang on to the snow on the west coast as we head through the overnight hours tonight. Temperatures will fall again, so back down into the mid-minus single digits. Another cold night up across Labrador. Lab City going down to about -34 tonight, and Happy Valley Goose Bay going down to -19. Now, as we head through the day tomorrow, a good day to clean up because it should be fairly quiet. We may see some lingering flurries or snow for Bonavista North through the morning hours, but that should end. Same to the snow on the west coast. And then as far as Labrador goes, you'll see some flurries move in late day. But temperatures tomorrow will be sitting in and around the minus single digits through the afternoon. Those winds will be out of the northwest as well, about 30 to 50 km/h. But yes, some sunshine, welcome sunshine, that's for sure. And then up across Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures into the minus single digits along the coast, minus double digits towards Nain, and Lab City will sit around -15 as your daytime high. So the weekend is looking like another double-digit warm-up is on the way. I'll get into those details when I come back.
Well, tomorrow is Feed NL Day, part of CBC's annual Make the Season Kind campaign to raise money for the Community Food Sharing Association. And the folks here at Tiffany Village are making a big donation this year. Joining me now is Pat Mackey. So tell me about the fundraiser that you launched this year.
Well, it's funny. It started off as a conversation like just 2 months ago. And Tiffany Village and Kenny's Pond, our sister community, they took delivery of a new bus. And so our recreation coordinators felt like it would be nice if we filled the bus with food. So this is what kind of inspired the Stuff the Bus campaign. And from there, you know, we got in contact with the Community Food Sharing Association. And I went on their website. And I learned that for every $10 that you raise, they can leverage that into $430 worth of food. So it kind of dawned on us that we had 24 seats on the bus, plus the driver's seat is 25. So it kind of thought that then we'd sell the seats for $1,000 a piece. We could raise $25,000 for the Community Food Sharing Association.
It's a lot of food.
It's a lot of food that can buy. So luckily, we reached out to our corporate partners and some generous companies and organizations around the city, and everyone said yes. So we managed to sell out all the seats on the bus. But then we moved on. We got it into our heads that maybe we should start, you know, spreading this out. We approached the St. John's International Airport, and they, of course, came on board right away. And so we created a bus stop at the airport. So with this, they're actually running their campaign from, it started November 29th, and they're running right up to December 20th. And they're accepting donations in the main terminal building. There's a great big sign there that you could, it's impossible to ignore. It's right next to the elevator, right in the central part of the terminal. And they're accepting food donations there. They've also reached out to their own corporate partners to see what they can do as far as raising food and money for this campaign. So it's
good success for you this year, and this is something that you're planning on continuing.
This is something it was, like I said, we just started planning over the past couple months. But I think that once we have more time next year, yeah, we'd like to create bus stops all over the city and really make an impact for the Community Food Sharing Program. It's such a great cause. It's a wonderful organization, and there's a definite need out there. So I think that, you know, from the response that we've gotten so far, this is something that we feel we can really put some legs under next year.
$25,000 will go a long way in helping families in need this year. Pat Mackey, thank you so much for doing this fundraiser and for telling us about it.
Thank you.
In order to get better at darts, I had to push my boundaries, and that was go to Q school.
All that hard work paid off. John Norman Jr. is London bound for the World Championships.
After the break, how the darts legend is looking to Brad Gujou for inspiration. When you think of timeless Christmas traditions, what comes to mind? How about a bullseye and an arena full of rowdy darts players? Perhaps not. Well, John Norman Jr. is the best darts player in Newfoundland and Labrador, and this year he is back on the elite world circuit. Our Chrissy Holmes is standing by live in our newsroom. So Chrissy, I understand you got to spend some time with Norman?
I did, Anthony. And, you know, on top of being the best darts player in Newfoundland and Labrador, which is a big deal, we know that, he's also the top CDC qualifier in Canada, which means Paradise's own John Norman Jr. ranks globally in the top 32. Now, he's competing at the World Championship for Canada wearing a Newfoundland and Labrador flag. So to mentally prepare for all of that, Norman has actually looked to local curling legend Brad Gushue. And the advice that he got is something that Norman says he'll be putting to practice next week in London at Ali Pali. We had a chance to catch up with him before he departs on the big trip.
This is where I practice. This is where we beat up the dartboard, have a bit of fun.
It's also where this professional darts player keeps all the awards he's won since 2015.
Basically less than 2 years. I was 9th in Newfoundland and a professional dart player on the PDC circuit. So it happened really, really fast.
Double eight. Done it!
He's a character on the world circuit, and he's got provincial, national, and international awards to prove it. But he's looking to add one more to his collection this Christmas from the William Hill World Darts Championship at the legendary Alexandra Palace, aka Ali Pali, in London, England, where darts is the Christmas tradition.
Fireworks! Fabulous!
It's loud and it's raucous and it's cheering and it's very competitive.
John Norman Jr. will be the first Newfoundlander to compete at Ali Pali. But this won't be his first world competition.
I earned the right as the #1 ranked Canadian player in 2017 with John Part to participate in the World Cup. And that was overwhelming. And there was a lot of lessons learned there.
Like what?
Just composure. You know, as I'm ready to walk out onto that stage, all that composure, all that mental focus, all that preparation, kind of, it left me for a little while.
They reached the second round of the World Cup before losing to Austria. Then, in 2018, at the North American Championship in Las Vegas, he lost his shot at Ali Pali. Norman stepped away from darts. As an occupational health and safety advisor with Valet, work turnarounds became more challenging. Then, the championship circuit for darts offered a wild card. But between balancing work, family, and travel to the U.S., he thought the sacrifices would be too much.
Until we were in the Atlantic bubble, it was opened up, and we had an opportunity to go to New Brunswick. And my stepdad, we still don't have a diagnosis on what's going on, but and he said, you need to go into Brunswick. You're going to regret if you don't go. So I called Rennie, I called my mom. I said, we're going to do this. And we did it.
He was right.
He was right, yeah.
In New Brunswick, he secured a spot at the Championship Darts Circuit Finals in Cambridge, Ontario.
I had somebody close to me seeing the belief in me. And I started believing in myself again.
There, he won his first CDC title and a World Championship wild card.
And my stepdad, he hasn't, he's barely spoken about it, right? And he has no clue how it all, got things moving and what it stirred up in me. So we're really embracing the World Championships now.
Next week, the world will be watching this Canadian's every move. In what is essentially the Olympics of darts, in front of a full house at Ali Pali, where the London crowd is to darts, as Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are to curling.
From one Newfoundlander to another, I thought maybe you might want to say hello to somebody that's got a little bit of advice. Here you go.
When I've been in Europe, I've watched it on television, so I know how big it is and how rowdy the crowds get, and tuning them out and staying in your own game and in your own mind is important. And
like I have a little mantra that I say before every shot: control, calm, and confidence.
And it's all of those routines. So stick to those routines when you get to the World Championship, because they ground you, and that again brings you back to throwing darts in your basement or at your local establishment. It takes you away from that big stage. There's so many distractions and so many things that can happen. We do not open our phones at all. Basically, my wife is the only one that can reach out. One thing I started to do a number of years ago was meditation, to allow yourself to stay in that moment and not think ahead. I can't emphasize enough how much my mindset change impacted my results when I got away from that typical Newfoundland thing of just being happy to go there. And I don't mean that as a derogatory thing, but we can compete, we deserve to win, we can win, and you go with that mindset and see what happens.
Everything you're saying right now is like, it's going to hit hard with me, so I really appreciate that.
You put in the work, put in the practice, believe in yourself, and you're going to do well.
Thanks again, my friend. Brad Gushu, right? Briar champion, multiple Briar champions, world champion. He's won it at home, and just the pieces of advice that he shared with me, I mean, we're very much on the same path, but he's got it to another level, and that's what it's going to take.
When he steps into that spotlight, you'll know he's playing for Newfoundland and Labrador with the mindset of a champion.
Focused, confident, and believing that I deserve to be there. I feel like I have so many people in my corner right now.
What a great story.
It's incredible. I mean, it's emotion. You feel it, Anthony. And, I'm feeling it even just watching it back. John is flying on Saturday, just ahead of his first match, which is coming up a week from now on the 16th. And, Anthony, I don't know if you've seen these competitions before, but part of the big show is the players' walkout, right? So John says that Journey's Don't Stop Believin' is going to be blasting in the background for his big entrance. And I know, must-see TV, right? So if you want to watch the World Championship from home, a little trickier to do it on this side of the world, but a few ways you can do it. Sky Sports main event, or you can stream it on DAZN or on PDC TV. So get this, if all goes well, Anthony, John says he's looking forward to playing three-time world champ Michael Van Gerwen on the 18th. That is going to be must-see TV.
All right, well, you certainly made the case for this great TV tonight. A nice surprise to Brad Gushu, too. Chrissy, thanks.
Thank you so much.
That's Chrissy Holmes, live in our newsroom.
Last night, we discussed navigating the ever-growing cost of groceries. Well, it seems that's not going to get any easier. The cost to feed the average Canadian family is expected to rise by about $1,000 next year, according to the annual Canada Food Price Report released today. As Nisha Patel reports, it's leaving many struggling to put food on the table.
Nicola Moore knows how to stretch her grocery budget.
I understand food insecurity because I've suffered it myself.
For the single mother of 3, stocking the fridge this year took a lot of energy.
Worrying about where your next meal will come from and will it be filling and healthy for your kids.
Food costs are rising thanks to high energy prices and supply chain disruptions. Climate change-fueled wildfires and droughts also have an impact. All issues that are expected to drive prices up further in 2022.
Canadians will have to get used to higher food prices. We're not going to go back to how things were.
Facing sticker shock, more shoppers are looking for sales and are cutting back on pricier products.
You're going to have make different decisions both at the grocery store and at the restaurant.
Wages haven't kept up with inflation so far. That means food affordability across the country could get worse.
Food bank visits have increased by more than 20% since 2019, a trend that's likely to continue in the new year.
Toronto chef Jagger Gordon says the pandemic pushed more people to the edge.
We just basically have seen so many people come to us and through other programs that say we need help.
His answer, starting a pay-what-you-can grocery store. It offers food that businesses would otherwise waste, like imperfect vegetables, and gives more fresh choice than a traditional food bank.
We divert food from landfills and we put it back onto the tables of millions.
Moore says programs like Gordon's are essential, but so are long-term solutions like higher minimum wage.
I think there's a huge population that is one paycheck away from getting evicted, one paycheck away from not being able to pay their bills.
And she hopes these conversations will spark a little food for thought. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
A new campaign by White Ribbon Canada is using music as a tool to help men unlearn the old societal norm that showing emotion is weak. CBC's Ali Chasson has the story.
As soon as that cello hit, I remember distinctly this feeling of this big weight just kind of coming down on me, this emotional weight, and it was totally unexpected, and that was it.
Music can move you physically, but when the right song hits at the right time, it moves you emotionally. That power of music is being tapped into in a new awareness campaign called Uncomposed.
Music definitely has the power to unlock our emotions, to help us to process it.
The music you're hearing is an original score written to evoke emotion.
That's when we engaged with musicians. That's when we said, we want to compose this piece. We engaged the Canadian Opera Company, and they helped us throughout this process of composing this beautiful, touching piece that was created just for men to get started on this conversation.
White Ribbon Canada engages men and boys in the prevention of gender-based violence. And this is an exercise in unlearning the societal norm that emotions equal weakness.
We've come to realize that if we don't challenge this aspect of not being vulnerable, then men are not going to be able to create healthy relationships that are based on good communication skills, displaying your emotions and showing yourself as you truly are.
The idea of a man showing vulnerability is difficult to do because it's not accepted.
I started to reflect about, my job as a dad, and, newly separated. So, all the responsibilities that come with being a parent. I guess the music just allowed me an opportunity to reflect on things in a kind of a safer way. And as a guy, you don't really let your feelings show that way too often. So it was a really, really unique and vulnerable experience. And it really helped me reevaluate what is strength in being a man and as a guy in 2021.
And what did your boys think?
First, my oldest, he was 11, he kind of smirked about it, and you could tell he had that defensive posture about it. But my youngest said, "It's okay, Dad. My youngest was a little guy, and he said, it's okay, Dad, that you cried. I cry sometimes too. And it was a really cool experience, you know, and again, it was a conversation I don't think I would have been able to have had without this experience.
Wow.
Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
This season, we want to be together, and magically, we are.
That magic, that energy, what we're doing is actually making a difference.
You have the right to eat. You have the right to food.
We feel a real responsibility. We've been in this community for a long, long time.
This season, whatever kind of season you make it, make the season kind.
Before we get to the forecast, Ashley, everyone loves a nice homecoming around the holidays, right?
Yep. Check out this video of 5 harbor seals taken by the Marine Mammal Rescue Center at the Vancouver Aquarium.
Oh, the seals were released back into their natural habitat yesterday. They were rescued as pups after they were separated from their mothers.
Yeah, volunteers fed the seals bottled milk and taught them how to swim, and they even taught them how to catch fish for when they returned to the ocean.
Oh, interesting. I wonder how they taught them to catch fish. That was pretty cute. And Ashley, you're going to start the forecast by talking about the wind. Ashley was getting a bit excited during the break because of all the changing weather that's happening right now, and the wind is starting to ramp up.
Yeah, because we don't often see the weather change while I'm on air, so it's kind of neat to show you. So I just want to go through it one more time, especially for areas in eastern Newfoundland. Let's take a look at the current satellite and radar. You can actually see the rotation of the area of low pressure and that transition to snow. So once that happens, the winds are really going to ramp up, and it's not going to be nice out for the next, well, through 10 p.m. really for the Avalon. So already seeing those sustained winds about 100 kilometers per hour in Bonavista, and the gusts are about 115 kilometers per hour. So these are the types of gusts that we're going to see again between 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock tonight for pretty much Bonavista, southern areas of the Avalon, as well as the northern portion of the Avalon as well. So the good news is, though, once we get through that into Friday, it's actually, the winds will die down a little bit. They'll still be a bit breezy tomorrow afternoon, but by Saturday, those winds will really slack off, and it's going to be not too bad. We'll see the chance of a few flurries and then some showers as we get into the evening hours. The further north you go, you'll see that a bit sooner along the southern areas of the island, but temperatures will hover in and around 0 degree mark, or maybe a few degrees above for the island. Another chilly day for Lab City, minus 13. And then minus single digits for the rest of the big land as we get into Saturday. Sunday is when the big warm-up comes again, and the winds are going to ramp up yet again through the day, with rain in the forecast, which could be heavy at times again. Certainly going to keep an eye on this forecast through the weekend. Going to get a little mild as well for southeastern Labrador as this low takes that track up through Labrador, which means we will see a transition to some rain, mainly for the southeast at this point. But Happy Valley, Goose Bay, north and west should stay as snow through the afternoon, with about -6 for Lab City through the day, but you could see some accumulation, significant accumulation through Sunday. Now, once we get into Monday, the beginning of next week, again, those temperatures are going to drop back down 1-2 degrees as we get into Tuesday, and then the potential for some showers, or flurries rather, will stick around. And then for central Newfoundland, you're looking at the forecast of some flurries for Monday. Tuesday, same thing, maybe a few peaks of sun, but temperatures are going to drop down back to the minus single digits through the day on Tuesday. And then as far as eastern Labrador goes, that snow for Sunday. Monday we'll continue to see some flurries. Same thing on Tuesday, but a few peaks of sun. Temperatures really aren't going to move too much, but they'll be back down to the minus double digits both Monday and Tuesday for western Labrador through the afternoon. Now, I had to share this photo with you. A little fox on the Cape Shore Trail there. Michael says he didn't approach the fox. It actually just sat there and looked very proud of himself, and he does, definitely. Great
Looks
shot
like
there.
The fox is watching a sunset or something.
Yes, it certainly does look that way.
So pretty.
Yes, thank you, Michael, for that. If you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Cute.
Very sly.
Yes.
They all look like that, don't they? I love foxes. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, they are for sure. Well, that's it for us on this Thursday evening. Thank you so much for spending part of your night with us.
I'll go see if the snowblower's working or whatever else I've got.
Not going to be a nice drive home.
It's going to be cement. Oh, yeah, and not a nice drive home. No.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.